What is going on, everybody? Welcome to DylanTalksTone. Today we are going to talk Fender, and we're going to specifically talk Stratocaster. These are probably one of the most popular, one of the most replicated, one of the most sold products in the guitar industry, right? They've been making them since 1954. There is no trademark on the body shape, so there's copies of copies of copies of copies and various things like that. So there are literally millions of these things everywhere. And the fun part about them is there is a lot you can do to take basically any level of Stratocaster and make it better, right? Like there's neat things you can do. You can get blocks that go on the tremolo back here that are different. You can get different tuners. You can get different pickups. You can get different bridges. You can get different saddles. And you know, cosmetically, there's a bunch of kind of upgrade stuff you can do to them too, because they're just sort of a fun platform. If you're a Strat guy, you know. And if you're not, you can get these relatively inexpensively. Even a good Asian version like a Squire Classic Vibe or something for $500 or $600, you can get a really good guitar. Here's the thing though. How do you know where to start upgrade wise? How do you know where to start if you've got one of these things? You're like, I want it to sound a little better. I just, I bought this, maybe an import one, for example, and it just isn't getting me quite there. What can we do to take a big swing at it, to have a good result, to have something that you'll really enjoy playing? Let's go look at the electronics components. I've got a pickguard from a very inexpensive Strat, and then I've got some other options over there, and I want to kind of show you the differences. And if you're questioning how your Strat sounds, I'll show you how to fix it. Okay, this is the pickguard and all the electronics out of a Squire Strat. Now this is arguably the cheapest Strat you can buy. I got this one on Amazon for like 140 bucks. So, but it is a Squire. It is from, licensed by Fender. But this contains a lot of the common parts that you find in inexpensive Strats. And so I'll show you specifically where things might be a little held back tone-wise, where you might be able to make some improvements, and kind of some different levels of easy or hard way to do it. So we flip this joker over, and we've got a couple of things here. So everybody talks about little baby pots, right? Now these are all clipped apart because we took this apart for a video. But first of all, we've got these little pots here. Now, the size of the pot doesn't really matter. What does matter is the taper of the pot. Now I measured these pots, and the tolerances are actually pretty decent. They're 250K pots and they measure like 240. Okay, so that's within the 10% that you want it to be. So that's pretty good. So they're not terrible that way. But one of the things that really sucks about inexpensive, quote unquote, cheap pots is when you turn it all the way to 10, right? And then you turn it down, you've experienced this. You turn it down a little bit, and then all of a sudden it's just like a switch and it just shuts off, right? That is not optimal. We want to be able to use the entire range, the entire taper, the entire sweep of the pot. What that does is that allows us to be able to play with our pickups in ways that we can't normally. Now, if you're a person who leaves everything on 10, you might not notice this, but if you are that person, I would say you're probably giving up some fun that you could be having with your guitar by learning to use the taper in your pots if they are good. The other thing that is often a compromise in these inexpensive instruments is that switch right there. Now that switch is fine, right? It works. It is a switch. It does what it's supposed to do. But over time, because of its construction, you can see it's a printed circuit board in there, and the contacts wear very quickly. And so it makes it to where they will become scratchy, crackly, poppy, and they'll have bad connection. Sometimes you'll have one of these inexpensive switches, and all of a sudden one of the pickups will sound weaker than it's supposed to. That's not because the pickup is weaker. That's because you have a bad connection in the pots or in the switch. The other thing is that the cheap carbon traces. So there's like a little carbon racetrack in here that the little wiper wipes around on these pots, can be so low quality that you actually rob frequencies from your pickups. So one of the things we have around here, it's available at DylanTalksTone. This is an Oak Grigsby 5-way switch that replaces this switch right here. Okay, and it goes in there, and it's very high quality. This is what your American Stratocaster is using. Even the custom shop stuff, depends on the model, but this is the Oak Grigsby by Electro switch that they're gonna use. And this is a completely different type of construction. See, because we have these mechanical little pinchers, and we have these plates in here that make a much better contact, and you'll get, if you take care of your guitar, you'll get decades of service out of one of these switches. In addition to that, the other thing we have that we can replace is the pots. Now you'll notice that they're physically a different size, but that's not really the important part. The important part is the quality of the components inside. So you're going to get a lot longer wear, you're going to get a lot less noise, you're going to get a lot better frequency response from your pickups because the carbon track in here is a lot higher quality, and most importantly, the taper is so sweet. When you go to turn this volume down, you're going to see that it acts a lot nicer, it works a lot better, and it gives you a lot more range in your pickups. Now, that brings us to the pickups themselves. Now, if you'll notice these pickups, now this is very inexpensive guitar. Some of the classic vibes and stuff aren't made quite this way, but same sort of inexpensiveness, depends on the model and the year. But this bobbin is made of plastic. This is all glued together. There is a ceramic magnet, almost like a humbucker magnet, that's glued to the bottom, okay? And when you flip it over, these poles that we see that we think are supposed to be magnets on a Stratocaster aren't actually magnets. These are actually steel rods. These pickups, you can buy these pickups on eBay for like $3, okay? And you can buy even better ones than these on eBay for, for $10, but they're just pickups. They just function. Now, does that mean that you're not going to enjoy the guitar? So if you buy an inexpensive Stratocaster and it has all of these components in it, are you not going to enjoy that guitar? Absolutely not. Will you get to a point where you outgrow these? Now, your typical Stratocaster pickup starts as a sheet of this phenolic paper 4-bond material. This is the same stuff that Fender uses. We order it in sheets. It's about like it comes in a 4x8 sheet, but I have it cut down to smaller sizes. We put it on our laser and we cut it out to this shape. So we have this 90 thousandths thick gray bottom piece, and we have this 60 thousandths, I think, 62 thousandths, something like that, top piece out of black, okay? And then we come over here and we have tubs of rod magnets. Now, these rod magnets are not steel. These are actually magnets. And once they're assembled into the bobbin, then they are magnetized on this here machine. So we get a very consistent product from them. Once we wind the pickup, it looks about like this. We put a cover on it, we put some wires on it, we wax pot it, of course, and it goes into the guitar. You can kind of see now the cheaper one versus the better one, and the tonal possibilities that you could have, which you can't tell by looking at it, but we'll get to that in just a second. So we have all of these components, and don't forget the capacitor. Now we use Sprague orange drops for most of our builds. High quality, excellent tolerances, 5 or 10%. I think these ones are actually 5. Let's see, J. Yep, those are 5%. So Super high quality stuff. Now you can buy all of these parts individually, right? Like we can make pickups, you can buy those. We have capacitors in stock, you can buy those. We have the switches, we have the pots, you can buy those. The other thing I forgot to mention is the output jack. We use these pure tone output jacks here because they work really well. They don't make anything sound any better, but they are super duper 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 reliable, and I really like them. So you could buy all these parts with some cloth covered wire, which is what we have here, and you could take all these parts out and you could solder it all together, and you could make yourself a new pickguard, right? There's wiring diagrams on the internet. You can, find various resources to do that. You can solder, you've got a soldering iron over there and some solder, and you can go ahead and put something like this together yourself, and you would have a really, really solid Stratocaster. The other option would be that you could take and buy one of our loaded pickguards. So this kills a whole bunch of birds with one stone. You can buy a white one, a black one, a cream one. We have a bunch of custom colors made from acrylic that are available if you were doing something really interesting with a custom build. But the most important part, beyond the cosmetic stuff, is if you flip this over, you'll see that this particular one has a set of our Highway 99 pickups in it. It has the CTS pots that we just talked about, it has an orange drop cap that we just talked about, and it has the Oak Grigsby switch that we just talked about. This right here is like custom guitar quality stuff that would actually drop right into your classic vibe or other Strat import. Now, if it's not a Fender product, I can't 100% guarantee that the holes for other pickguard and stuff will all line up, but usually you can make it work. Now, when it comes to tone, here's the thing. There's lots of options available, right? And not just this. Here's one of our custom ones with the silver paisley. But see, this one has a humbucker in it, right? I haven't wired it up yet, but this one has a humbucker in it. We could put 2 humbuckers in here. We could put 2 P90s in here. We could do all kinds of fun stuff. The possibilities are endless once you start building stuff from scratch, and you're like, you know what? I don't even want single coils in my Strat, but I like the guitar. You could do whatever you want. We could do all kinds of fun stuff this way. It makes it way more fun, and you get a lot more out of the guitar than you even planned on when you bought the Strat in the first place. I think that's what's super fun about Strats is once you find a guitar that you like and plays well, like in it you enjoy, the fretboard's great, the color's cool, of the body and whatever, and you've kind of got it playing how you want, then it becomes sort of a blank canvas, which is really, really, really fun. We've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these, and I really, really enjoyed doing it. This is probably one of my favorite things to make, actually. So when you order these from us, you get it just like this. So it's basically all here. The output jack is there. You string this through the little hole, take the football out, the little football jack plate. Take the football jack plate out, you put this jack on that jack plate, you solder those 2 wires to it, and then you solder the ground from your tremolo right here to the back of this pot. Boom, you're done. 3 solder joints, and your entire thing is done. There's all kinds of options available. It's super fun. Not just for me. Of course, there's other companies that do this, but I wanted to share it because I think it's super cool. Now, let's talk about tone, because also the single hum thing like we talked about, or humbuckers or whatever. But what about within the Strat platform itself? We have a few different models of Strat stuff. So we have our classic 5s, which is like a really, really low output. Think Stevie Ray, Tin Pan Alley, Dirty Pool kind of stuff. We have our Bonneville, which is a little bit hotter than that. And then we have our Hot 5, which that's the pickup I really like to put in a single hum with a Super 8 humbucker. That's my favorite. And then these are our Highway 99s. As you know, I'm a huge fan of the Mike McCready Stratocaster, which is the one I was just showing you over there. And that's what these pickups are modeled after. A little more clarity, But the main calling card to this one is this bridge pickup has tons of power without ripping your head off. It's just, bridge pickups and Strats can kind of be a weakness. You may find that in your real inexpensive Strat or your stock Strat that you don't like your bridge pickup. I think you'll find with any of the 4 sets of Stratocaster pickups that we make that you will like your bridge pickup, that it will work. The other thing that we do on all these is we put a little jumper in right here where that makes it to where this tone knob runs these 2 pickups and this tone knob runs this pickup separately. On vintage Strats, you didn't have any tone control for your bridge pickup. So on this one, you will. So there you go. I just wanted to share this. This is probably one of my favorite things to make. We love Strats around here. Obviously, a Strat was my first guitar way back in the day, and they still kind of hold a place in my heart, you know what I mean? And I've got a couple of them that I really, really enjoy. But as a result of that, and them being kind of the most modifiable and most available form of guitar, even if you don't buy an actual Fender one, this is pretty killer. Anyway, there you go. I'll leave links to everything we talked about in the description today. If you have questions, get in the comments. You can actually go over to DylanTalksTone.com, and there's a little chat box over there that comes to my phone. Okay, so that's not like an AI thing. Sometimes it makes some AI responses, but it comes to my phone. You can ask actual questions to actually me, and I'll help you figure out what Strat stuff you want, and we'll get you going. Anyway, there you go. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you in the next video. Like and subscribe and do all the things.